guys, welcome back to the Morning Skate. We got episode 182. I'm hosting today, Garrison, BizDev, and we got Kat. Jimmy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. If you listen to our intro song, we have the "Do You Believe in Miracles?" Yes, and for the longest time, I've always wanted to talk to somebody who really genuinely got to experience that. And guys, if you're listening right now, we got him. We got one. We get hook, line, and sinker. I'm so excited for today. First member of the 1980 Olympic gold medal team. That's gold medal. That means first place. Really excited about it. Grease, you can introduce him. I know you're all sorts of buzzing, if you will.
I'm chomping at the bit, man. I woke up at 7:30 this morning, put Miracle on, got all ready to go. So I got loads of questions. We've had an actor from Miracle come on. We've had Olympians, but our first 1980 member of the U.S. Olympic team, Buzz Schneider. Welcome to the Morning Skate.
Garrison, thank you for having me. You too, Jimmy. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, man. We are fired up. Miracle itself was instrumental part of us learning the story growing up. Jimmy and I were both born in the early 90s, so a lot of what we know from the 1980 story kind of is portrayed through the movie. So I'm really excited to be able to firsthand ask you questions and share some of these background stories with our listeners.
Yeah. I feel like ever since that movie's come out, we've all been on like a bus trip with the boys and like putting movies on different whatever. Miracle's a staple of any sort of bus trip wherever you need to go. And I mean, Grease, you nailed that. I think I saw a couple like HBO documentary type things about the 1980 Olympics and all that, but Miracle, I mean, I remember the first time that I was in the movie theater, I had a blue and red slushy mix. I think I had some Raisinets I was pounding down at the time, and I was just in awe. But definitely had a large popcorn too. You have to get a large, so that way when it's done, you go back free refills. But I'm so pumped that Buzz Schneider's on the pod.
Thank you.
Like, let's hop right into it.
Sure.
Before we get to all of that, let's talk about growing up. Like, when's like your first memory of you playing hockey? Was hockey like in like a fabric of your family? Like, how did you go about starting to put on the skates and rip the puck a bit?
I grew up in northeastern Minnesota on the Iron Range, where hockey at one time, it still is. It's very popular and big in this country. And I came from a small town. I started skating about 4 or 5 years old, and up there's not much to do. So we used to go to the rink with our skates and our sticks, and we used to play all day long. And we played with the older kids who kind of taught us how to play. So that was our entertainment. And the lakes froze early up there in October, and then we went right through March or April. So that's how I ended up starting to play hockey. And eventually, I played a lot, and I got good enough. I ended up making our high school team, and played for a great coach, Ron Castellano from Eveleth, and he taught me a lot. And I played well enough to earn a scholarship to the University of Minnesota to play for Herb Brooks. And I'm old enough; I was in his first recruiting class, so that's how I started and got to be going playing in hockey.
That's unbelievable. So, grown up in Minnesota, you get to put on the Gopher uniform. Was that like one of your first like really proud moments of your early life? Because I mean, I can't imagine being from a place and then going to play college. Like we live in New York, so there's like really no big New York team. But like it's similar to like Boston going to BU, which I'm sure a lot of people did. But like, how awesome was that?
Well, for us kids, especially at that time back in the early '70s, the University of Minnesota was a place to play, and they had all the tradition. They had Johnny Mayasich, the godfather of hockey in Minnesota, along with John Mariucci, who was a coach. So anybody I know from northern Minnesota wanted to play for the University of Minnesota. And like I said, I was fortunate to have Herb Brooks recruit me. So that was a dream come true for me.
And that's your first like introduction to Herb Brooks. And I think when you think of coaches nowadays, like you hear about Mike Keenan a lot and like Peter Laviolette and all these things, but like at least like my generation never really got to really experience like what Herb Brooks was about. Like we got to live it through the movie and stuff. But can you just kind of talk about Herb for a little bit as to what type of coach he was? Was it because the movie kind of portrays him as like that hard ass dad that like you don't want to disappoint, but like you love him at the same time. So like what was Herb Brooks like to you?
He was a tough coach, but not in a mean way. I mean, he was honest. I remember him used to saying, if you're going to call me an SOB, at least I'm an honest one. But He was a man of his word. When I played for him at Minnesota, the best guy played, no matter who you are, where you came from. I'll tell you, nobody worked harder as a coach than he did, and I don't think any players worked harder playing for anybody else except for Herb Brooks. He was a taskmaster, and he was tough, fair, but very honest. And I'll tell you, anybody that I played with that played for Herb, had nothing but respect for him. But he was tough. He was demanding. But like sometimes your father scolds you, Herb scolds you too. But he didn't do it in a malicious way. But he always wanted to make you a better person and a better hockey player.
And you played for the '76 Olympic team, correct?
Yeah, I was one of the oldest guy that I had the opportunity to play for Bob Johnson in '76, and we took fourth in the '76 Olympics in Innsbruck, Austria.
So you start with Johnson, and 1980 comes around, there's a new Olympic team, and you hear that Herb Brooks is coaching it, and you had already played for him before. Was there like a sense of anything in your head where it was like, okay, like this is going to be a little bit different, but like, did that add to the excitement of playing for that team? Were you more comfortable?
Well, Herb, when he got me, he knew what he was getting, because I played for him for 3 years at the University of Minnesota. But that didn't mean I was any favorite. I mean, he treated me no different than he treated 19 other guys. And when Herb Brooks coached that '80 team, he kind of put the wall between the players and coaching. So I was no different than any other the 19 players that I played for. And I respected him. And I was afraid, geez, am I doing something wrong here? I was kind of a little bit, nervous myself a little bit. But
did you? I'm sorry. I was just going to ask if you noticed a big change or a difference in the way he coached the '80 team at Minnesota.
When he did do it, he was experimenting the style of play back at the University of Minnesota. I mean, he was the first coach that I can honestly say I played for. He started interchanging positions. You know how the old style back for us guys, it was, the wings go up and down the rink, north and south. But he was a believer in interchanging positions and puck control. And, if we got the puck, they don't have the puck, they're not going to score. So he copied the Russians. In fact, when he played, I think, on 2 Olympic teams as well, and when he was cut off to the 1980 team, he studied those Russian teams, and he knew how they played, how they interchanged positions, not only the Russians, but the Czechs and the Swedes as well. So he was prepared going in, but he took us and we started a whole new system. It took us a long time to figure it out, though, too. I mean, we didn't learn it overnight, but we bought into it, we played it, and it worked well for us. It was a lot of fun to play. It was fun to play again.
Was it easier for the other guys having like some Minnesota players who had played for Herb before? Like I know there's that one scene in Miracle where like he puts up a drill and everybody like looks at each other and like, what is going on? Like were you guys kind of like I don't know, like a shoulder that those guys could go to, or it's like, okay, like what is Herb really expecting here?
He pushed us to the end, and they weren't going to get any Minnesota. They weren't getting Boston boys weren't going to get any support from the Minnesota guys because they treated those guys in the same way. So no, there was no favoritism. It was his way. It was his way.
So in the movie, at least, and I know it's based on a true story, so I'm sure some things are real, some things aren't. But something that stood out was like the tryout portion of this, where you had so many people come and it was supposed to be for a couple of weeks and like really only lasted a short amount of time. Was that an accurate portrayal of what happened? And do you remember the moment when you're like, when they called your name and you knew you were on the squad, or at least at the beginning?
Yeah, he had about 80 guys at camp, and he did so much scouting ahead of time. He kind of knew who he kind of wanted, but in the tryouts you had to perform, right? So if the guy maybe couldn't play himself out of a job too, but he kind of knew who he kind of wanted, and he was looking for some guys that he possibly wanted to take, because he took 26 guys in case somebody got hurt, somebody wasn't playing well. But it was a tough training camp and a tough tryout. And I remember we all got called in the room at the end, and I believe one general manager was Johansson. He said, the guys that got cut, they got the easy part out. He said, you guys are gonna have to work now. So it was. And when you try out stuff, you hate to see other guys leave the team, but that's just the way it is. And but it was a fair tryout, and like I said, he kind of knew who he wanted to have on his club.
And you mentioned the rivalry between Minnesota and Boston because of previous national championships and this and that, and just like it was a heated. It's probably arguably the biggest rival, I would say, in college hockey history. What was it like adjusting being around those guys? Were there grudges when everybody finally bought in? Like, do you remember like that moment?
Okay. Well, like Mike Rizzi and I were the two oldest guys, and Mike and I played against each other. In fact, you can tell Mike that we beat him in the semifinals for the NCAA, that we won the first one at Minnesota. So no, but we were old enough and matured up. Mike and I understood each other. We got along. We're still along. We're great friends. But I think the rivalry happened with the younger guys in Minnesota and some of the Boston players during the national championship. There was a little bit of a tussle on the ice out there, and on the bench or between periods, and that created a little bit of an atmosphere between the Boston. It was regional, Boston, Minnesota, but we all got to learn to respect each other and end up loving each other at the end. So you don't do that overnight either. Each team, when they start playing, they take on their own chemistry and stuff. So we had a lot of good times.
I don't doubt that at all. So you picked the 26 guys, and then you guys played a ton of games before even the Olympics began. Were there any games that kind of stood out to you throughout the course of like this run that you guys went on? That like the one game, I think it was in Norway, at least that's, maybe I'm wrong, where they turned the lights off and the whistle's going, and again, like, were there any games like that kind of stood out to you? And if they did, like, why did they stand out to you?
Okay, well, that one definitely stuck out. That's for sure. We played those guys, and after the training camp, we went right to Europe right away and started playing games and stuff. And we ran into Norway, and we probably weren't as sharp as we were and stuff, and didn't play well at all. And Herbie, he knew we could play better, and he was upset with us. And that's at the end of the game. We all come to the bench, and and Craig Patrick says, "No, stay out on the ice." When everybody left, we ended up going up and started doing the Herbies, the goal line, the blue line, back all the way down and back, and that went on for about an hour. But previous in that game, I ended up getting thrown out of the game. Les Auger was one of our players, defenseman, and the refereeing wasn't real solid like our North American referees, whether Canadians or Americans, and they made a bad interference call. And Les Auger was mimicking the ref. He put his hands over his eyes and turned his stick upside down and started talking to the ref. And Herbie said, "Buzz, go find out what the heck went on out there." So I go out there, and the referee says, "Well, you're out of here too." And I go, "God, I didn't do nothing."
You skate up to him, he just gives you the boot. You're like, all right.
So I go into the locker room, I shower and change, and then at the end of the game, those guys started skating, and I was standing next to Craig Patrick, who was our general manager. And
did you feel pretty lucky at that point? Were you like,
I'll tell you, at first I did. He started to skate him for the first 20 minutes. He started at 25, and I told Craig Patrick, I said, "Craig, should I put my stuff back on? I feel guilty." He said, "Nah, Buzz, they're going to be done in a couple of minutes." Lo and behold, they're out there for another half hour. That was tough. I felt bad for the guys. Yeah. But I think he drilled the point home. You guys got to perform every night. And but what was kind of lost, the next day we ended up playing Norway again, and we beat them. I don't know, 10-2 or 7-3 or something. So we ended up redeeming ourselves. But no, I remember that. That was quite the scene. But it did bring us together.
Yeah, and I guess that's exactly what Herb was looking for, right? Like, you guys kind of played a stinker throwaway game in Rochester, if you will. That's what they said. And then the next day you guys come out and it's lights out, 10-2. That's pulling the right strings.
Yeah, we had a good club. We didn't lose too many games during that year. We did lose. We played some NHL teams. We got beat by Central Hockey League, but we were in the Central Hockey League. We actually counted in their standings, so the games just weren't a throwaway games. Was counted in their standings for them, so it was good. They pushed us, and we pushed them. Played the AHL, some teams, and also some college clubs as well.
That would have been pretty cool playing against different AHL teams, right? Because you guys were all amateur players, right? So it's kind of like that had to have been pretty. Awesome.
Yeah. We ended up. I know we had playing the North Stars. I think they beat us 4-2. I think the Washington Capitals. I don't know if they beat us by one goal. We had time. It's been 41 years. I can't remember everything. But we had fun. That was a challenge for us too, because a lot of the guys on the team were going to be in the NHL the next year. So it was fun.
And the Red Wings up here too, right? In Glens Falls.
Glens Falls. I remember them. Yeah. They have a nice club as well. It's always fun to come back to New York.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What was MSG like when you played the Russians there a couple weeks before?
You know, a lot of the guys I've played. God, I must have played against them. I don't know how many 5 or 6 prior world championships, and a lot of the guys on our team never faced the Russians before. And but we stood around and watched. I mean, they were so good. I mean, they played so methodical. If you had a bad night, instead of getting beat like 3-2 or 5-3, I mean, if you had a bad night, they could blow you out like 15-1 or 13-2 or something. So you had to play well against them the whole time. Yep. They were. I thought they were the best teams in the world. I'll tell you, they were good. And a lot of those guys at that time could easily play the NHL as well.
What was the feeling like in the locker room in MSG like right before the Olympics? Were you guys, I mean, obviously you want to win the game, but was it let's keep it closer? Like, were you guys rattled that you were even playing them before the Olympics?
No, it was good that we maybe played them before. Maybe we gave them a false sense of security. I don't know, but it was good. Like the third period, I think was even. So after starting out slow and picking up coming back, it was a good test for us as well. And plus, we were all excited to get to the Olympics because once you go to the Olympics, you're playing for your country, and the roster is automatically set for 20 guys, so nobody was going to get cut. So everybody's kind of happy about that. And it was looking to play at the Olympics and playing in your own country, which was special.
And that's the next stop. Not, I think a couple weeks later, you guys head to Lake Placid. Had you ever been to Lake Placid before then?
We went up there for our training camp was in Lake Placid. After they did the trials, we came back from Europe. After the trials, that was kind of our home base. We came back, we stayed in Lake Placid and trained there before we moved back to St. Paul. And St. Paul was our home base, but we stayed out in Lake Placid. And, but I'll tell you, after practice, we have to run that hill from on Main Street up to I believe it's a Sheridan 3 times. Oh, that was no fun.
And it kind of, when I think the fact that there was an Olympics held in Lake Placid, like everything, I can't believe it. Like you pull in and the first thing you see is that giant, the ski jump.
Ski jump, yeah.
The first thing you see and you're like, oh my God, we're in Lake Placid. And then you pull up. Was that a giant outside rink next to the indoor rink there at that time? Like,
no, they had the 32 rink was there, and they fixed that up for the Olympics. They painted that. That looked good. They had the new arena up there that we played in Lake Placid, and they had a smaller rink. I don't know if they use that for figure skating and for the warm-ups right next in the same building. But we did hold, during the middle of the year, we did have we'd call it like a pre-Olympic tournament. We had teams from Russia, Czechoslovakia, and come over and play, but they weren't their big teams. They were more like their B teams that we played in a tournament over there. And that was around Christmas time. And we stayed there for a few weeks, and it was a good tournament. It was preparing us for the coming back and playing later in February.
So you guys end up going, I'm pretty sure 6-1 in the Olympics. I think the first game you guys tied Sweden. Do you think that tying Sweden game 1 played like a pretty good role for you guys moving on, because it was like this is what we needed to do to tie, or to build on, because Sweden was an unbelievable team too at the time.
Exactly.
So would that have been a pretty good feeling knowing that like you might not have won, but you guys belong there?
Yeah, exactly. Because we went in, we were from the prior World Tournament, we were seeded 7th, and going in, we were realistically looking for 3rd place, the bronze possibly. And right out of the chute, we placed Sweden, which we thought was in the top 3. We figured them silver, and we thought the Czechs bronze. The Swedes, excuse me, silver. The Czechs. No, Czechs were, we thought they would be silver, the Swedes, bronze, and Russians first. But right off the chute, when we ended up playing Sweden and coming back and tying them 2-2, with the last few minutes to play, okay, we're doing okay. But that game was played prior to the opening ceremonies, and then 2 days later, we ended up playing the Czechs and blowing them out 7-3. And like I said, they're, silver medal, we thought. Like, geez, we're in the hunt now. We might be able to do something here.
What was the locker room like after being the
we were happy. I mean, we were happy. And then we had to play, 3 more games after that. We ended up playing Norway, Romania, and then West Germany to get into the middle round, because I think we were in the brackets with the Swedes and stuff. I don't think they called it the blue bracket. I think we had 9 points, the same thing as them. So Yeah, but after we ended up beating the Czechs, we thought we had a shot for a medal for sure then.
So you kind of went out from there, and then you get to the semifinals. I'm pretty sure I'm correct about that. And you guys are up against the Russians. And I read Mike Ruzioni's autobiography, which I thought was really, really cool. You just learned some like pretty interesting things. I'm pretty sure he said before the Russian game that he was at a campsite with like his old man and his high school football coach, and like he had a Budweiser, and like that's how he spent the night before the Russian game. I'm pretty sure it was either the night before the Russian game or the night before the gold medal game. Whatever have you. Do you remember where you were the night before you played the Russians, and what was the atmosphere going into that game like? I can't even imagine. And a packed rink and everybody's like screaming. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
And then just on top of that as well, like Jimmy and I weren't around, so we didn't fully, even younger, when I was younger, I didn't fully understand the political climate and everything. Like, what was the country like at that time as well?
As far as the country was like, we had the recession, gas shortages, and Iran hostage situation and stuff. But up for us guys up in Lake Placid, we weren't aware of it. We were out there because here we are. We have a chance to go on. We're playing the Russians, probably the best team in the world. So we were more concentrated on the hockey game itself as all the political stuff, which was kind of good because we had a shot, and everybody on our team, thought if we could keep the doggone thing close, wait till the third period, then anything can happen. But for the night for the prior to the Russian game, I remember I was. I spent the night with Mark Pavlich was my roommate, and we had three of us in those mobile homes up in Lake Placid because we actually stayed on the prison ground. But us Americans, we were actually in the mobile homes, and I think they had the Russians in the actual prison, the facilities themselves. But we were all in the same complex. And I remember spending the night with Mark Pavlich. I think my other roommate was Kenny Morrow and John Harrington. And so I remember we spent the night before the Russian game with them. Yeah, we were looking forward to it. It was, it was one big game.
Yeah, you're telling me. So you end up you play the Russians, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the game wasn't really broadcasted at the time. It was broadcasted like hours after what ended up going on. But take us through that game, the ebbs and the flows. Like I'm pretty sure you guys were down at first. You battled back. Actually, one question I really, really want to ask you, and I've never seen anybody ask. I'm sure it's out there. The Soviets didn't pull their goalie like as the game's winding down. Do you know why? Like that blows my mind that they wouldn't have done that.
No, that still baffles me to this day. I played in the '76 Olympic team, and I also played on 5 World Championships against Trachak. And why they didn't pull the goalie? I've never seen that before. Maybe it's so never were behind. I don't know, but I didn't understand that. Maybe
the coach literally didn't know what to do because he hadn't been in that like position before. Like you're down a goal with a minute left. You want to get an extra attacker out there, but they don't do it. I don't get it.
See, I don't either. I don't either, and I don't know why they changed Trachak to Michigan either after the first period. That didn't make any sense to me either. Here's the best goalie in the world, probably one of the best goalies ever, and they ended up pulling him. It didn't make any sense either, but it worked out well for us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like you're not going to complain about it. How big was that Johnson goal for you guys? As the period's about to expire, I mean, going into the room,
yes,
if you will, that had to have been huge.
Oh yeah, exactly. I remember I got the first goal they went 1-0. Then I tied a great pass from Mark Pavlich, then Mark Johnson.
Casual goal in the 1980, whatever.
Yeah, there you go. But then Davey Christian, shot at the goalie. Mark Johnson comes in. I don't know if Trachak was sleeping on that one or not. I don't know. But that was huge. Just keep it close for us. That was an important period.
What was it like scoring in that game?
Excuse me?
I said, what was it like scoring in that game? Do you remember?
Well, I felt that I maybe made an error on helping them get their first goal. I made sure I had to get it back, so I could live with myself. but it felt good. Like I said, I played against him a lot of times, and ended up being friends with him as well. So I know him. He's a great goalie, great guy. I'm glad I could beat him on that one.
Was there a player on the Russian team that you guys looked at as like, we need to shut this guy down? But I mean, they were such a team, and then the way they maybe it just wasn't one guy, but was there one guy that kind of stood out to you where you were like, holy shit, this guy's unbelievable?
They had a lot of good guys. They had like Karmeloff and Mikhailov. That their first line was great. Balderas, even though it's towards the end of his career, he was a fantastic player.
They're grown men. Like they're grown men. They're not college kids.
They were all professionals actually too, and they could all play easily in NHL at that time. But under their way of conditions and government stuff, it wasn't allowed unless they didn't defect. But no, they were good. I mean, really good.
And then as the game goes on, Eruzione, classic, scores the goal, gets everybody going. As the time is ticking off the clock, the Russians haven't pulled their goal yet. What's going through your mind? Like, especially in the third period, are you guys just going shift by shift? Are you trying to do 5 minutes by 5 minutes? Like, that clock must have ran so slow to you.
Oh yeah, we tried to break the period down every 5 minutes as a goal, but when we were ahead with like 10 minutes left, you guys played hockey yourself. Shifts 45 seconds and stuff. Well, we were coming off a heck of a lot quicker than that. Nobody wanted to be on the ice when they scored, is what they were because they're so explosive. They, they can score at any time, almost even at will. But you can't let up against those guys. Those guys are so good.
And how was Jim Craig during those last 10 minutes? Was that just incredible to?
Oh yeah, he made a lot of fantastic saves, and plus we had a lot of help from the pipe too. But Jimmy played well. He knew the angles, and we did everything we could to help him out because I believe they outshot us. So we had to stick together. But no, that last 10 minutes, that seemed like 10 hours. I'll tell you, that was a long time.
So the clock comes down. You guys beat the Russians. It's mayhem in the rink. People are going crazy. Was it hard for you guys as a group to refocus as to, hey, like, we're not done yet? Because like I think in terms of political climate, like that was the win, right? Like United States, Russia, we handed Russia their loss. Like, take your ball and go back home, like whatever. But the gold medal's still up for grabs. So was it hard to refocus a little bit, or were you guys already done?
After we started winning and before we played the Russians, after we beat the Russians, we were getting telegrams from people all over the country. The wall was just plastered with them and stuff. And we were getting a lot of attention. But after we won, the next day we came into practice. They had all these hockey sticks lined up with pens on, and us guys were signing them. Herbie came in, he threw them all on the floor, took his hand, knocked them all on the floor. He said, "You guys haven't won a thing yet." He said, and plus you guys aren't that good yet either. And so he knocked everything off the table. When we had a practice, that was the hardest practice we had all year. He made sure our heads didn't get too big and we were focused on that finish game. He had a lot to do with that. He'd make sure we weren't too far ahead of ourselves.
That's pretty amazing, the fact that you have like that you just know that you can't be that high at that point, because when you are there, then you're going to go in, you're going to play the Finns, and you guys are going to have a stinker. And then
exactly.
You beat the Russians, but you don't get the movie. Like, you don't get the 1980 gold medal. Like,
that's right.
It's a big accomplishment, but that gold medal for your country, that's
exactly. And if we would have lost, I believe we wouldn't have ended up with a medal at all against the Finns.
Oh, right, because Russia played. Who did they play? Sweden? Was it Russia?
Yes.
Yep.
So we could end up fourth again.
Oh my God! Could you imagine if that had happened?
Oh no! Yeah.
But it didn't. It didn't. You guys won the gold medal. You guys beat the Finns. I think one of the coolest moments in sports history is when Eruzione standing on that box and he calls all you guys up there. I'm like getting chills thinking about it right now. You guys have every player.
And we didn't know what to do.
But that's the whole team mindset, man. Like, you look at all these other sports, football, basketball, like when people are being interviewed, they're saying I all the time. I did this, I did that. But I think in the fabric of hockey, it's always we. Like, it's always a team effort. It's always, because it's a family. Like, you guys are brothers. You guys spent however long with each other. I thought that was cool that Eruzione's like, hey, get on up here, fellas.
Exactly. You get to that point too. Even Olympics, a bunch of us guys had some. We scored a lot. We had some great Olympics and stuff. When you get to that level, you don't care if you score. You just want to win. You'll do anything to win. I don't care who scores. You just want to win. It's a once-in-a-lifetime shot. So, put it all on the table. And fortunately, we did. And it turned out well for us. Yeah, it was great.
Just unbelievable. And then years go on. They make a movie. I think it's unbelievable that your son played you in that movie. How cool is that?
Yeah, and I tell everybody, he made more money on the movie than I did. And, yeah. And there's another story too. They asked him, what was it like playing your father out in Hollywood? He said, geez, he's an easy stretch. He said, but the only weird thing I got weird when I'm supposed to put a wedding ring on, I'm married to my mother. He said, that's when it kind of got weird. So
Yeah.
he was a good kid, and yeah, he had fun. And like I said, he enjoyed doing it. It was a lot of fun.
Do you remember watching the movie the first time? Like that had to have been pretty cool.
Yes, I did. Yeah, we Disney they gave us a preview and stuff like that, and it was pretty good. I guess they tried to make it a little bit longer, but they were worried about ticket sales and stuff like that. And they have some formula. They know how much the movie makes within the first 24 hours after it was released. But no, it was pretty accurate. I thought they did a pretty good job. I thought Kurt Russell played Herbie extremely well. He learned how to write left-handed like Herbie did, and when we first went out to Vancouver where they were filming it, I think they took them about a year to film it out in Vancouver. Boy, he looked just like Herb Brooks. We were looking at him and go, wow. Herbie passed away, unfortunately prior to that. But he did a great job playing Herbie. Herbie would have been proud of it.
I love hearing that. How many times have you guys all been back together since then?
We have that fantasy camp out in Lake Placid every year. This is, I think, 5 years already. So most of the guys still come back for that. We have some signings that we do, so we get together sometimes 3-4 times a year, at least once or twice a year for this. So we still get back. We still stay in touch, and we still get each other crap all the time too. Like on the emails, I don't want to answer because every time you answer, boy, you get dumped on by 19 other guys. So nothing's changed.
I love that. Garrison, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, a big part of the movie that came across was your line mates, Harrington and Pavlich. What was that? Was that like to have that kind of chemistry? And
it was great. All three of us grew up in Iron Range up in northeastern Minnesota, these small mining towns. And Mark was from Eveleth, and John Harrington was from Virginia, and I was from Babbitt. And we learned how to play on the outside rinks. And Herbie couldn't find anybody that could play with Pav, and couldn't find whether John and I could play with anybody else, so he put us together. But we kind of knew each other, where we were going to be, instinct and reaction. Like Mark Pavlich was real easy for me to play with. He said, Buzz, just get in front of the net and I'll put it on your stick. And boy, he fed me a lot, so I can figure that out. No, but he was a great hockey player, and we had great chemistry and respect for each other, and it worked out well. Our line didn't change that much since maybe end of November, first part of December. Ours was the only line that never changed, so it worked out well.
Yeah. I think you guys were the top line in the tournament, right?
I think so. Yeah. We had a good tournament.
It's pretty good.
Fun. Yeah. It was great, but more importantly, I'm glad we won the gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another one I had was I called my dad before this, and him and I went up for, I think it was the 35th anniversary, and we got to see all you guys in the rink and kind of telling your stories, pointing out in the corners how the place developed and everything. So that was a fun experience for him and I to share. But also wondering, like, back in, I guess, like, what are your biggest takeaways from how the game has progressed since then, with the style of play? And
it's really changed now. They do a lot of cycling, and they're constantly going, and all these kids are big, fast, and they can skate, and it's fun to watch. It's really more enjoyable to watch, I think, not so much, clutching and grabbing. And one thing I can't figure out is these goaltender pads down. They go down like flippers, Now when we back in the goalies, they used to call them mules because they were all leather, but that's changed a little bit. But I enjoy watching the game now. It's a lot of fun. Like our U.S. junior kids played well. They won that gold medal and stuff. That was my whole entertainment. They're really fun to watch. It's good. I'm happy for the kids playing. I'm glad there's a lot more opportunities for kids now to play. I mean, they come from all over the United States. Back when we played, they were mainly like from Minnesota, Michigan, Boston, and now you can come from anywhere, which is really good.
Yeah, it's incredible. The game is really growing. It's awesome to see, like, the whole team and what you guys are doing with the fantasy camps and getting everybody together.
Yeah, we enjoy going back to it. It's a lot of fun.
Just a huge part of what USA Hockey is, really. I mean, we grew up going to the Can-Am tournaments every year, so Lake Placid was a big part of my youth hockey experience.
And the bond amongst all of us, we all got a bond, which is great. You guys with us, I mean, it's a great sport.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy, that's your that's Jimmy's classic line. It's like we have all these hockey people on to talk, and at first we get a little nervous or whatever, but really it's all hockey guys. We're just doing this for the
Oh
love
yeah.
of the sport.
And everybody's the same. And it's a good game. It's a blue collar game. And I mean, everybody pretty much gets along. I mean, it's fantastic.
That's awesome. So
When you guys won that gold medal, like, did you think that you'd be talking about this 40 years later?
No way. No, not at all. I can't believe that lasted this long. None of us can. We said, geez, can you believe this? We go, no. But, that movie did give us another generation of kids and stuff. And there's, no, we didn't think it lasted. We just can't believe the legs this thing has carried on for this long. It's unbelievable.
It's incredible. Grease, do you have any more questions before we kind of get into the product?
Yeah, I mean, I think we get into it. So kind of what 41 years later, it's led into a lot of different things, and we've got the Miracle on Ice Golden Ale. You want to tell with Northway Brewing Company? We were introduced through Ryan, so I don't know if you want to speak on kind of your involvement in this beer release.
Okay, I'm with Bob Grazinger, has the trademark USA Miracle on Ice Beer Golden Ale, and he asked me to get involved with him about a year ago, and I decided to hop on board. And part of the great thing about it, part of the proceeds go to various charities, like the Herb Brooks Foundation, sled hockey and stuff. And we found some great partners out in your state there, Northway Brewing Company, and they're partners with us out in New York. And I think it's going to be a fabulous run, and they're great people, and I think it'll go out in New York a lot. So I'm looking forward to see how things roll out here. It's exciting beer, and the money a lot of it goes to our good cause. So that'll be fun. And plus I'm around hockey too, with all the hockey people. I think that's great.
Exactly. It's absolutely genius, because like when I think of whenever we play beer league hockey, or even if we go to an open skate, like afterwards somebody has some sort of like 12-pack or like 18-pack where the boys just have a couple beers before you go home. You don't have to worry about anything. And I've always wondered, like, why hasn't somebody came out with like a hockey beer? Like it seemed like a no-brainer to me. And on top of that, it's not even just a hockey beer. It's like Miracle on Ice beer, which is just even cooler than just like your standard just beer locker room lager or whatever have you. So how excited are you to be supporting this? Like, what's your normal drink? Buzz, let's get into this. We go to the bar, man. We're hanging out, we're chilling. What are you ordering from the bartender? Like, what's your normal go-to?
Right now it's Miracle on Ice beer, Golden Ale.
I love that.
That's what I order, if they have it. So hopefully it'll get spread out.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it started in Minnesota, correct? And now we're kind of bringing it to the
Bob
East.
Grazinger, yes, he got the trademark. Yes, it started, and it's Lift Bridge Brewing out in Stillwater, Minnesota. Brews it here as well in Minnesota. But hopefully the next step, like I said, with Northway Brewery, that'll be fun, and they'll really kick it up. I'm looking forward to it. Then I can come out and spend time with you guys.
Yeah, please do.
I think we're gonna end up doing some content where we're gonna have some of these on like the pond or figure something out. But I can't wait. Also, like, I'm a huge Golden Ale guy, so I'm really excited about it. We need to figure out more information. We got to write a blog. We got to get the people everywhere knowing about this stuff, because I know for sure it's going to take off the moment that people see it, especially in Lake Placid. I can't even imagine that thing. It's probably already sold out.
Yeah, I think I think it'll go there for sure too as well. I agree with you.
Last one I got for you. Jimmy and I are both, marketing business guys. We kind of little entrepreneurial spirit with this podcast. And how has the game itself and just your entire hockey experience played a part in your second career in business and sales?
Probably everything. You take the values of hard work, and you just apply it what you learned in hockey. What I learned in hockey, I learned everything through hockey. Hard work, dedication, preparation. And I just transferred over into business as well, like in real estate. And but it's who I am. I think most of us players, that's our identity, even though we could go on and have other careers and stuff. But I learned everything through hockey. All my best friends are still through hockey. A lot of my my associates, everything is. I do a lot of business with a lot of hockey players. But you know what? I love the bond. I love the closeness of our club, and I think it's very unique. And I still think it's probably the greatest game in the world. I think that, but that's my opinion. But no, I'm happy with the club I belong with.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Pretty cool club to be with. But I mean, Buzz, thank you for coming on, man.
No problem. Anytime.
Everything that we've ever wanted and more. Whenever you come out here, let us know next time you're in Placid. We'll take Placid is an hour and a half from us. So something along those lines, we can have a couple of these Miracle on Ice golden.
Oh, for sure.
A couple dozen, and we'll have ourselves the time.
Good, and I'll buy.
Yeah, I made these pucks too. I got to get you a couple.
Oh, no problem. Anytime.
Yeah.
But no, nice meeting you guys. It's been great. I certainly appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks. And that was Buzz Schneider of the 1980 USA gold medal Olympic team. Ever heard of them? Sure have. Thank you so much, Buzz. And that was this episode of the Morning Skate. We will talk to you guys next week.
Thanks, Garrison. Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciated it.
Awesome.